welcome. Welcome to Top of the World. I've upgraded. A lot of you have been around for a while, be familiar with this. And what an upgrade it is. Every year I fix this, every year I weld something else to it, every year I weld up. It's constant, it's a constant battle. Is the tyre flat? Yeah, but it goes flat after a few days. How long's that been there? Oh, only a week. I pushed it off the back of the trailer and left it there because it broke again, but this time it's broke permanently. There's no fixing the old MTD. So I thought I better get a new one. Yeah, and here we go. So it's the Cub Cadet XZ6 series, the XZ6 Ultima zero turn, but with a new and different technology. It has a steering wheel. Right, the most obvious thing about this is for a zero turn it has a steering wheel. We'll get into that. This is my impression after I think it's got 5.5, 6 hours of use on it now. And everything I like about it and everything that it can do that a standard ride-on mower can't do. And how much better it is than a standard ride-on mower. And price point. What's the price point on something like this, Simon? Wow, look at it. Beautiful. Is it cheaper than the cheapest Husqvarna? Yes. Is it cheaper than most of the Stigmas? Yes. Is it cheaper than the MTDs? It is MTD. Right, Cub Cadet is what MTD was. So it's the same thing. Is it the cheapest in its class? Yes, it is. Is it cheaper than MTD's high range of standard mowers? Yes, it is. How can that be, Simon? It also has twin hydrostats, right? Twin hydrostat drives. Does it make a mark on the grass when it turns round? No, we're going to get into all of these things. High-backed, beautiful cushioned seat with armrests. Easy entry and easy exit from both sides. I prefer this side. The steering wheel, fully adjustable instantly, just like that, to whatever makes you comfortable. Right, this allows for, say, somebody a bit more infirm to be able to get in and out easily with it in its upright position without any restrictions on knees. The positioning, right, with its sloped deck, is far more comfortable than a flat deck by a long way. You have your cutter, raise and lower right here on your left leg, and you have your hydrostat gearbox, twin, backwards and forwards on this foot. It's really easy to use. With the arm down, you don't have to do anything. You've got your controls down here, but once you've started, you don't need to touch it. So there's very little fatigue on anything. I find the steering wheel much more comfortable than the levers, which means you can't rest and you have to drive with both hands or both arms all the time. Admittedly, you know, with some practice you can do it with one unless you've got a serious turn. And you haven't got the restriction anymore of your turn bars, albeit they go out, but you don't have the restriction, you've just got the steering wheel. I'm not going to go into great depth behind the technology, behind the steering wheel and how it works. But what I do know is it's a true zero turn, and when you turn, because of the big wheels on the front and they're turning with you as opposed to dragging, it leaves no drag marks on the lawn. And because they're bigger, it also leaves no impressions on the lawn. I like that. I like the big heavy pads, right, to reduce vibration through your feet. Anybody that's driven a zero turn for a long period of time, you get fatigue in your feet. The seat is really comfortable, really comfortable. Fuel tank, really easy, really convenient. Access to the battery in the fuel tank couldn't be simpler. There's the fuel tank, there's the battery, there's all the electronics. Is it wet? Yeah, because I just washed it. Let's go back into our seated position so that I can demonstrate the deck drop. Here's your deck adjustment. In order to adjust it, you push your foot down and you've got 16, I think it's 16 adjustment heights. So say we were right at the very bottom on its lowest cut, that's the deck on the floor, and you've got an obstacle in the lawn and you're driving. In an old mower you've got to turn off the blades, lift the deck, do all this. No, you just keep going. You literally raise the deck like this and then you can lower it again. Right, likewise if you hit an obstacle, right, instead of having to manoeuvre or turn the deck off, you can just lift it and it will exit. So I like this for so many reasons. It's transport mode with it right at the top. It also allows you, as you'll see later in the video, when you ascend or descend on banks, when you rise at the top, right, it's always going to cut into the grass because it's at its lowest point. But it does it in ways that other mowers, like the front deck on the Husqvarna for example, you can't do any real degrees of height because your deck is out the front. It's much better to have the deck under the middle. It's also protected. Currently on these, your models for your zero turn are the XE5, 6, 7 and 8. And you can get a variety of engines. There's some that have got the Collier engine in, there's some that have got the twin cylinder Kawasaki engine in. This is a Cub Cadet branded twin cylinder, identical to the Kawasaki, probably a Chinese replica. Really, really, really powerful. This is the 679cc and you've got access all the way around it, which you don't have in a conventional ride-on mower. So ease of service. Now I read something that the ease of service was really bad. Well, from standing here I can touch the oil fill, the oil filter, both cylinders. The air filter is just 2 clips, come straight off and you've got access to the air filter. So I'm not quite sure what the difficulty with service would be, but from a standpoint of a mechanic that services all his own vehicles, it don't get any easier than that. The hydrostats are fully accessible underneath, should you need to get them, but it's got a 3-year warranty or a 500 hour, both on private use and commercial use. So you shouldn't be needing to touch the hydrostats. As far as ease of use and what we've got here, one of the functions that's an absolute must for me is to be able to keep the cutter deck mowing whilst in reverse. And when you move it to this position and press this button, this red light will come on to warn you that you're cutting in both directions, and you can cut going forwards, going backwards. The deck does not shut off. The deck start is really easy. On, off, throttle and choke are right here. The other thing that I really like is the park brake. So this is completely locked up now. When you're putting it on a trailer, on a hill, wherever it is, it's as simple to use as that. That's your park position. It will only start in park position. Push your parking brake off, and that allows you to be able to move. And in order to release the hydrostats, that's it. And now it will freewheel and you can push it around. So if it's parked in a garage or shed or trailer and you need to manoeuvre it, you can simply unlock the hydrostats that simply. If you run out of fuel and got to push it, you can do that. So to release the hydrostats, it's really easy. To park and go is really easy. There's nothing complicated. There's the choke, there's your throttle. You've got a nice cup holder, phone holder, or whatever you have in there, and it's as simple as that. And with the arms down, as I've explained, it's a really comfortable place to be. I've had no fatigue on this machine. Still got all the knobbles on the tyres. I was intrigued by the front wheels because they're so much bigger. So on Toro and some of the other hydrostats, the front wheels are very small and they're round and they're literally dolly wheels. They do whatever they want. This, because these both turn and they're both connected, it makes it more stable. You don't feel like you're on a wild ride. It also makes it really stable when you're manoeuvring around tight obstacles, trees, washing lines, all this kind of stuff in a normal garden, and we'll demonstrate that. It's got a 42-inch, 107 centimetre cut, 2-blade. You get 3 blade options. There's like I say, I think there's 4 or 5 in this series of different sizes. This is not the top of the range, right? And it's not the basic, somewhere in the middle. So I chose this model because it was at the right price point, the right dimensions, the right everything for the different terrain and the amount of grass that I have to cut during the summer period. With regards to the cutting deck, you've got 3 options. You've got the option that I've got on at the moment, which is the mulching option. You've got the chute that comes out, which is the side exit. And the third option, which is an extra, and that is the grass extraction unit. Fits on the side there, tube comes up the side, blows into a large box container at the back. The other thing that I found really obvious with this compared to a standard ride-on mower is the amount of bounce you get. Because it's wide and long, it's stable. It's stable, as you'll see later in the video, on embankments, both up and down, across rough terrain. Because the seat is so comfortable and padded, you don't get this bouncing around, and because you're sat right in front of the engine but over the deck, you have in some way a much better idea of what you're doing with regards to manoeuvrability and around the obstacles on the lawn. We're going to undertake a series of tests in this video, and we're going to do all kinds of terrain, all different lengths, using the mulching and the side chute options. Is it a true zero turn? Let's find out. You be the judge of whether it's a true zero turn with the steering wheel. What's the first thing I noticed about this? I was arriving at a piece of lawn that I'd already cut. That's going to sound strange till you've used one of these. Manufacturer claims it does 10,000 square metres an hour. Yeah. Is that best in class? Yeah. Is it the fastest in class? Yeah. Can another lawnmower beat this in a dead straight line? No, it can't. It does 12 kilometres an hour, forwards and backwards. So that the bigger series with the wider deck and the 3 blades, that'll cut up to 15,000 square metres an hour. So when I say as we go through the video, I've halved my time, yeah, I have. And does it reduce the cut at speed? To be honest, I've not cut flat out, so I can't actually comment on that. If the blades go dull, right, it's going to, because when the blades go dull on any ride-on mower, you start to notice the difference. But at the moment, with only 5 hours on it, there's no reduction in cut, albeit I haven't driven this at flat out speed. This for me was in no way an impulse purchase. I've been looking at used new mowers for years, because I've been struggling with the old MTD there, which originally I got for free, and every year I have to fix it. However, the crunch did come when it finally went, and then at the beginning of the summer, I'm in a dilemma as to, do I stop doing grass cutting and just ring up my customers and tell them that I can't cut their grass? Is the revenue stream that I get from grass cutting big enough to give me payback on this? I had to calculate that. For me, it was quite an easy calculation. By increasing my grass prices slightly, which I haven't done, I could pay this back in 2 summers, after 2 summers, because the price is so competitive for a mower that's best in class. It's almost a no-brainer for me And then if I start to calculate all the parts, the time and for fixing it, and then the downtime of the old mower, as opposed to a mower I can just get on, go and cut, come back, put it away. When you calculate everything into the process, right, it was worthwhile, and I can continue to offer my customers a complete rounded service, because here I don't have too many customers, and it's high risk because a lot of them are old, some of them are not fully resident, and I can offer every single thing that they need in order to be able to survive here. You're going to find this a bit jump cutty, because as some of you will know, during the winter I'm in minus 30 degrees and it kills my batteries, kills my cameras dead. Are we plus 32 degrees currently, and we're still in the AMs of the day? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Have we had a week after me moaning, right, and complaining about the weather being so cold and wet all the way through June and into July? Now we're mid-July and we're day after day of blue skies and plus 30 degrees C. So we go from minus 30 degrees C to plus 30 degrees C. Anyway, let's go and test this and see what results we get from it. You can see it looks like it's abandoned. Well, it's not. I've just not been able to do it. You've seen me, this is the well. You've seen me here many times. Not quite sure where that's come from. That's new. Don't know. Anyway, here we go. You've all seen me cut this grass before, but I have never cut this grass like this. And I don't know how we're going to do. But what I do know is we won't be able to cut it all and get it all nice on the first cut. Is this tree dying? Yes, this tree is dying. And what we don't want is things like this on our new mower. Okay. This area over here is always a challenge to cut. Always. More of a challenge today. Wow, these are as tall as I am. So I don't know how we're going to do to get this place cleaned up. Yeah, proper test. And yeah, beautiful setting. The river's right there, look. It's a beautiful house. Anyway, let's see if we can make it look a bit more beautiful. The driveway was so overgrown, I had to mow my way in. Okay, so how is it looking after a couple of hours? Well, it looks new, obviously, brand new. Now I have taken off the mulching thing and put on the side thrower because, well, we ain't gonna mulch that. Okay, so I did the first cut on what they call the transport setting with the deck at its highest setting. And then the second cut, which I've just done, that was on the next setting down. It's a bit lower, but still high. But we're forecast very warm weather next few days, so that'll help all this dry out and I can come back and cut it lower. But what a powerful machine. So it's highly maneuverable and it doesn't lack power in any sense. It also appears to have an extraordinarily large amount of grip, considering how wet and how long this was. So it's taken me less than an hour to cut this. 2 cuts, or in some cases 3 cuts. And yeah, it shouldn't have been left this long, obviously, but still. There we go. Good job. Right, on to the next one. So our next test would be the theatre. This is what killed the old lawnmower. It started to vibrate, I don't know. We had to cut it twice with the old lawnmower. It started to vibrate. After the first cut, the vibration intensified. I knew when I repaired it, before I started this year's round of grass cutting, it wasn't going to make the season. I knew that. And the vibration got worse and worse and worse, and it was right here 2 weeks ago where the whole thing just destroyed itself, which is why we've had to buy the new one. Anyway, it's raining. It wasn't raining when we left the yard. It was blue sky and sunshine like that up there. Anyway, now it's raining. So we're going to sit here, have a cup of coffee, wait for the rain to finish. But it does mean the grass is now going to be wet, which I didn't want. I don't know how much it's going to rain. Anyway, welcome to the Arctic. I'm sure it will finish soon enough. So this is about where it broke a couple of weeks ago, and it's grown already. This is what I'm working on, the scaffolding's round the corner there. We've got all new windows in round here. Me and my Sarah, we spent months through the winter of 2019 repairing all those. I've got the windows for here and here inside, as I've explained before. However, children, I hate children. I couldn't eat a whole one. This is what they've done to all our new windows. They've smashed them all. Every window has had stones put through them. Now, they're not very bright, children, so they've done this one the worst. Because there's the pile of stones that they're picking up and throwing through. So hard they're going through both windows. And that's the respect that the children here have. So you make something look nice, you put all new windows in it, you spend months doing it, and then they pick up a stone from there and they smash the glass. I nearly swore there. Anyway, that's not what the video's about. The video's about grass cutting and that machine specifically. So, let's get on with it. Does it pick up the grass? No. Should I be in this state? No. I cut it late. I cut it with a dyeing machine without any gears or any clutch, and I haven't been back since. When this is cut regularly, it's a perfect, beautiful lawn. Well, beautiful. Have I ever cut it that fast? No. Do I consume less time, less fuel and less effort because it's much bigger, much wider, easy, instant manoeuvrability, none of this turning around backwards and forwards or thinking about where you're going. Amazing. I never ever cut this area, and I've also cut behind the building and down the side of the building, out the front of the building. So it does look a bit of a mess, I grant you, because it's got too much grass. You wouldn't normally have all this grass, but anyway, did I cut it quite low? Yes. Does the machine struggle? You can see what a beautiful cut it does there, where there's no, you know, all this grass over the top of it. Is it about to rain? Yeah, I've literally done that. Look at that lot, that's about to drop. I've literally done that in between showers, and it's wet, and it's loaded. So, what can I say about that? Amazing. It's so powerful, it works so well, it's easy to load, it's easy to unload, it has so much traction, and it does a beautiful job, even though it doesn't, well, it does look like it actually. It's just got extra clippings on top, which it wouldn't normally have if I cut it regularly. So, there we go. That is another job well done. Thanks to that. much experimenting with the technique there. This mower has the ability to be able to lift the mower deck or lower the mower deck with your foot. So originally I did it all with the mower deck at its top setting, which is its transport setting, and then I set a different setting, a much lower setting, and used my foot when I went over the ridge, because that's when you're going to hit the blades on whatever's there and, you know, skin the grass. So also it's wet because it's in the shade, and I've just cut it long. If you was to cut it the first time and then come back when it was drier, there's absolutely no question that would go up there. It is, as you get to the top, starting to teeter, which tells me that's about the maximum you could cut it. But what a perfect machine. I don't know what gradient the grass is at. Right, that's quite a steep bank. The only way I could cut that before was either with a large petrol fly mow, which came from over there and went back there, or a scrimmer. So it's not the tidiest job. It is tidy where I start. I've got to take that out. That road over that on its highest setting, but I knew it was there. So that's a nice big stump I've got to get out, because that'll ruin your blades. There's another one there. But overall, for the first run while it's wet, I'm really impressed with that. I'm really impressed that goes up that. So, there we go. Traction. It's got an amazing amount of traction and control, both up and down. So if you was to be going up this and then be fearful and stamp on the loud pedal, that's gonna come up on its rear end. It's not gonna flip over, but this would be enough to give you a scare. Let's see how we are with a fine cut on a fine lawn. That's not on its lowest setting, because whilst it's a fine lawn, it ain't that fine. It's no bowling green. Anyway, it does as good a job on the short stuff, giving a great finish, as it does on the rougher stuff, as it does on the hill. It just doesn't seem to matter what you want to do with it, it just does it. We're going to do a test on manoeuvrability. This patch over here is probably the most complex piece of lawn I have to deal with. And when you're doing it in a traditional ride or mower, you have to do lots of reversing and different angles to get it. You've got red currants, black currants, rhubarb down there, this concrete thing with something that's left in the middle, various shrubs, and it's a complex little bit of lawn. So I know, because I've already cut this a week ago, so this is what it looks like when you cut it with a standard ride on, backwards and forwards and round and round. Now we're going to see how that handles it. So we've already cut, I think, 4 lawns this morning without putting that onto the trailer once. So we're going through them. Does this need cutting? Well, it's a weekly cut. And it's going to be hot weather for the next week, so I'm not expecting it to grow too much. Although, as I've said before, because we're here in the Arctic and we have 24 hours of sunlight, everything grows 24 hours a day constantly, fast. Does it half the time it takes to cut the grass? It's a 42-inch cut. It's not the biggest cut in the world. You can get bigger. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. For ease of use, for the quality of cut and the speed you can cut at. Yeah, is it using more fuel? Yeah, definitely, because I've gone from a single cylinder to a twin cylinder. But it does cut in half the speed. Am I putting my grass prices up? Oh yeah, I am, because it's got to pay for that. Obviously, let's go this way, it's got to pay for that. So when you make the investment, you have to charge more. So you can charge more and spend less time cutting the grass, so you can cut more grass per hour than you used to. When was the last time I put my grass prices up? I don't think they've changed since 2018, despite the fuel. Anyway, there you go. Perfect. Right, it's another one done. Let's move on. So I'd just like to ask a favour. A high percentage of my viewers are not subscribed. It's a great way for you to be able to support the channel and allow me to grow. If you wouldn't mind just clicking the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up if you like the video. It also helps. And I thank you all for watching. In conclusion, really, really happy. Don't feel bad about spending the money at all. And I know it's going to pay me back for many years to come. And I'm living in the knowledge that I've got a 3-year private or commercial warranty on this machine, or 500 hours. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.